here with TrueDFS, and I'm going to go over tonight's 11-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings on FanDuel. Before I get started, as they say on YouTube, like and subscribe because it really helps us out. Check out TrueDFS.com. You can get everything I use here, plus the pay dirt analytics model for DFS and for betting. It's performing really well. We're really happy with it. We got the results tracked, and that's put in premium Discord. So come join us in Discord. You get that with the subscription, and the price is right. It's like $25 more than you'd pay for just SaberSim, which I'm going to kind of show off today. So check it out, and check out what we're doing. But with that, I'm just going to go ahead and build. Right? There's not a lot to think about. To me and Sheets talked about this. Like, the larger the slate, the fewer decisions you have to make. The only thing I really want to change is I only want 5-man stacks to be built. It's true that you could have some good 4-mans. You can get plus EV, the lower ones, but most of the smaller stacks aren't going to be plus EV. And so it's like, do I really want to build them? Like, do I really want, as part of my portfolio, I get 5,000 lineups. So part of my build, let's say, of the 5,000 I have, to have any extra that are just dead on arrival. Like, no, I want to grade as many lineups as possible and find out the ROI, at least pre-flop, of what these lineups are. And so if I have, 100 2s and 3 3s and all these, like, that are just going to grade as negative ROI anyway, like, why not put some 5-mans in there that might grade out better? What's up, Cujo? Morning to you too. So I don't know. That's what makes the most sense to me. Check out the weather. It doesn't look like there's any issues. You always got to look out in Tampa now that they play outdoors. There's like daily rain there, but low chance of an early shower storm. Looks like game time, most of the rain should be well inland of Tampa, so I'm not too concerned. Thank you, Roth. Yellow-green in Colorado. Monitor it like anything, but it looks like we're going to have a clean slate of weather on this slate of games, which is always convenient. Not necessarily better, though, right? Like, we can make good decisions based on weather or take risks based on ownership if people are getting off things. I mean, if you could play that game really well, you could get some sort of edge, with figuring out postpones and delays. But I sure can't. So let's see. I've got a sim running here. And this is using SaberSim's projections. I'll run one using Goldie's afterwards. And we'll see where we get. A lot of, Colorado's always going to stand out. It's like Colorado and Pittsburgh, two of the worst, probably the two worst teams. Pittsburgh's probably worse than the White Sox now, right? So the White Sox are actually in a good spot against the Angels with pretty high total and cheap prices. So it's interesting to see. All right, so we've got a portfolio of lineups here simulated. And look at all the Logan Gilbert. Half against Texas. Half our lineups have Logan Gilbert. Just about. Pretty good amount over the field there. Gavin Williams. A bit less of a stand, but a bit of a stand nonetheless. Are there any stands we have on lower projected ownership, guys? Not really. We're kind of like taking a stand on Gilbert above the field and then spread out everywhere else. Let's see in stacks what we get to. Yeah, look at all that Pittsburgh with the high total and Coors. Quarter of our lineups got a 5-man Pittsburgh. And then you get the White Sox and the Rockies. Look at all these junk teams. The 3 worst teams in baseball. As of now, if we use SaberSim's inputs, are going to be our 3 top top spots in our portfolio, but it makes sense, right? The totals are right and the prices are right. So it makes sense. Then you get to some Arizona. Who's Arizona got? In Oakland. A nice matchup. You don't have to contend with Mason Miller. He's the bullpen, I mean, really weak. Not that he was going to pitch in a game where Arizona was doing well anyway, but Athletics pretty weak. So, okay, here you have it. Pittsburgh, White Sox, Colorado. Let's do a build here. We'll call it Goldies. See what we get to. So this is one of the nice things you get with TrueDFS is you just have Goldie's projections already loaded in. And these are the ones I would tend to use when I build. And I'm going to say the same thing. Just give me the 5-man stuff. I can do anything to the salary. Let's see if this changes things. I'm going to guess less Gilbert. I'm going to guess we're not 50% Gilbert. The stacks, I don't know. They may be about the same. We're definitely, Pittsburgh's definitely being a higher zone stack. But we'll see if we get a quarter of our lineups. And that's a lot of exposure. There's a lot of exposure, but 6.5 average, according to SaberSim. Median's probably around 6. So something to look out for. One thing I'm not going to do, like if you're new to this, I don't have any takes, right? I have no position I want to take on a player, no stand based on my no ball knowledge. I'm simply going to trust the projections. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have some no ball knowledge. Like, let's say, I don't know. Let's say you know something about Jacob Lopez, and his stuff plus has been great the last, since he came back up. I don't know, and he's just a new pitcher, and you want to give a little boost to Jacob Lopez based on that. Problem is there's 11 games, so you give a little boost to Jacob Lopez. What is that really doing for you? Probably absolutely nothing, and you could be wrong too. So it could be hurting you. Now, a 2-game slate, 3-game slate, 4-game slate, it makes an outsized impact. Maybe you do want to impose some of your takes a little bit more. But at an 11-gamer, there's just not that much value you can add. And it's just right to trust them. It's probably right to do it anyway. And one of the reasons I bring up Stuff Plus is because I don't think, Stuff Plus, Pitching Plus, Location Plus, I think to a great extent those aren't in projection systems yet. And I don't know that they will be. And it also depends if you're using top-down models or bottom-up models. SaberSim's a bottom-up. So, yeah, top-down it is in to an extent because those get factored into the betting market. But okay, enough about that. I was right. A little less Gilbert. 40% Gilbert. Then we get Pivetta, Williams. Robbie Ray jumps up a little bit. But a lot less Williams. Not a lot less, actually. We're just more concentrated at the top. Less Gilbert, but then a little bit more Pivetta, more Ray, Gausman. You get to, speak of the devil, Jacob Lopez at 16% against Arizona. Now, I imagine I get the Arizona stacks, though, too. Even more Pittsburgh, Colorado, and then the Arizona, and then the White Sox. So even more Pittsburgh, but then spread out. You still get the Colorado up there, the White Sox up there, Arizona up there, but it's kind of changing the order. We're kind of about even to all of them. It's a little different if you use Goldies. I'm inclined to do that. I like to get different. I think, get different smartly, and that's, changing the inputs. And you can see that changing the inputs really changes who you play. Let's see if overall stacks, just tons of Pittsburgh. I think of the Dodgers in there. They're just too expensive for the 5-mans, but 20%. So we're getting probably a lot of the 3-mans or 2-mans of the Dodgers. Yeah. 17. So Dodgers and Tampa look good. The price is wrong on them, but you can fit them in as the smaller stacks, especially with some of those cheap, high projected teams. So there you have a look at what I'm doing on DraftKings in the early going, at least. Things will change as we get closer to lock, projection sharpening these things. But this is what we do every day. Just going through the process. Let's do the same thing on FanDuel. You could say, well, what you shouldn't have to watch this that many times. If you've seen me do this 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you should get an idea of what we do. And you say, well, why do you do it yourself every day? And why do it early? It's about getting reps. The more you do this, the more you get your hands on the tools, the better you use them, and the quicker you use them, right? So when we're doing things right before lock, this especially applies to NBA, but even for baseball, as we're making changes, we're late swapping, we want to be as proficient as possible with these tools, right? So that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of reason you want to get reps in. And I've been doing it for years, but sign up, get these tools, check out TrueDFS, and get the practice on them. It'll really make you a better player. That seems negligible, but it isn't. So, all right, we're building on FanDuel. We'll see if things are any different. Gilbert still stands out, 3 points higher in SaberSim. And Goldies, he's like almost 4 points higher than Rodon. It's a little bit more money, though, like $100. So we'll see. We'll see if we get more Rodon here. Didn't work out on DraftKings because of the price, but he's got a great matchup. Maryland's probably have the lowest total on the slate, right? San Francisco's pretty low. Boston, pretty low in Boston against Hunter Brown. Yeah, makes sense. Kansas City, pretty low. St. Louis, the lowest. Okay, against Pavetta. Pavetta's price just wasn't like Gilbert's. Okay. We got the Sims running. And we're going to build with the portfolio manager. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. We'll get to that when we get to the hitting. We'll look at still Gilbert is number 1, followed by Ray, Brown, Pavetta. Not a lot of Rodon. So look at that little difference in projection. They're about the same price, but the little difference in projection. Well, maybe it's not. It's not the big difference in projection, I should say, gets you just way more Gilbert than Rodon. That's an interesting bet, though, to make. Play Rodon over Gilbert. We'll see. The ownership, what's the ownership? He's the next highest pitcher. He's a good bit lower. Oh, he's more than that. Okay, so it's Robbie Ray who's next. And he's coming in at 10% and we're double the field. Okay. That makes more sense. Rodon's interesting, though, at the same price as Gilbert for no ownership. So we'll see if that changes throughout the day. Look at the hitters. Just forget the stacks for a second. Almost half our portfolio on O'Neal Cruz. And you can see why. He's 3,400 in Coors. The best exit velo in the league. Just got to make contact. Who's Colorado got pitching? Not that it matters. Senzatella, yeah. Doesn't miss bats either. So let's see how many of those Pittsburgh stacks we get in the 4-mans. 38%. Shove. Then pricing is always a little softer on FanDuel, so you get the Dodgers in there, then Arizona, Colorado, Yankees. None of the White Sox stuff. You just don't need the savings. So, all right, there you have it. It's a Pittsburgh, Gilbert kind of slate. Hard to avoid, even when we're diversifying just a ton. Let's use Goldies. See what happens on FanDuel. Yeah, not much. Let's see. So Rodon. Look at the difference in Robbie Ray's projection here. So we've got to get more Rodon in this build using Goldie's projections and less Ray. That's my prediction here. When we run the Sims, is we get to more Rodon than Ray and less. We're going to get less Gilbert because of the Rodon thing, because they're like basically the same price. I gotta imagine that's what it's going to be. Build, done, Sims, running. Remember, we're running for the flagship. Obviously, things are different if you're playing single entry, stuff like that. But this is give you a look at the flagship on DraftKings and FanDuel. All right, more Cruz. Yeah, 8% less Gilbert. My prediction was basically wrong. You still just don't get the Rodon. It's just like I don't know. I'm surprised. I thought we'd have more. Let's see what the pool looks like. Yeah, I mean, he's coming up in the pool second most, but it just for $100 more, that difference in projection of 3.5 points just gets you so much Gilbert. Now, if this were right now, I would expect Gilbert's ownership to be higher than 20%. And that 32% might come down. I mean, I try not to impose too much, but I might ask it for more Rodon if the slate were locking right now. And then look at the hitting, just even more Cruz. We'll see if we get Dodgers second there. I forgot to make changes there, but no, Colorado, then the Dodgers. Let's see overall. Dodgers second most, Yankees. So about the same with stacks. Just using Goldies, even more exposure to Pittsburgh. Less on Gilbert, more spread out in the pitching, but not more to Rodon like I predicted. I may ask it for more, but we'll see what happens later. But there's a look at what I'd be doing if the slate were locking right now. Don't forget, check us out, TrueDFS.com. You get all these tools. So if you like what you see, like the contest sims that we're running, the play-by-play sims, you also get premium Discord, the pattern analytics mount. I mean, it's a really robust package. You get a lot of stuff for like $25 more than it would cost you to just buy SaberSim a la carte. And you get way more than that. So check it out, like and subscribe. And